Welcome. Let's solve Leetcode 93 minimum cost for tickets. Okay, let's make this bigger so we can read it. Okay. So what they give us is they allow us to buy a day pass, a 7-day pass, or a 30-day pass. And the cost for each of these is given in an array here, costs. So the day pass costs $2, $7, or $15 for the month pass. And our goal is to return the minimum number of dollars you need to travel every day in the given list of days. Something that's pretty important to recognize is that if you buy a 7-day pass on day 2, for example, then you can travel for days 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it's in essence, it's kind of like inclusive because 8 minus 2 is only 6. But if you count them individually, then they add up to 7. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so let's go over this example here. So this is one way of, I guess, coming up with an answer, is that you buy a day pass for day 1, which is $2. And then you buy a day pass for days 4 through days 8. And notice how there's some days left over, meaning even though the 7-day pass is for 7 days, that would only cover these 4 days here. And then you buy a single day pass for day 20, which gives us a grand total of $11. So that's what we'd be returning here. Okay, I think this problem description is straightforward. So I think that's enough for us to get started. The approach that I went with is recursion with using caching, and I think it should be pretty good to understand or easy to understand if I do a good job explaining it. Okay, let's get started. Let's see what we got here. All right, cool. So let's go over this example. So as I mentioned, we're going to use recursion. I don't know the name of the function, so I'll just call it f. And what we'll be passing into this recursive function is the index of where we're at. So this is the index of where we are in days list. Okay, so when we're here or anywhere in the days list array, we have 3 choices or 3 options to decide upon. One is we can buy a day pass. So buy day pass, or we can buy week pass. And I know and I'm going to put month pass because I don't want to write 30 day. So buy month pass. So we have those 3 options. And so the question is, how do we move forward in the index if we're buying a day pass? Okay, so let's figure this out. So if we buy a day pass, what's the cost? The cost will be cost of the day, whatever that is, plus then we move forward. We say f of, now if we're at index 0 here, the next index we're concerned with is I plus 1. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Okay, now the week pass. So it was easy in this problem because we knew that we had to jump to the very next index. But the week pass, if we buy a week pass, we can actually include all of these if we wanted to. So we don't know how far we can go. But we can figure it out. So how do we figure it out? So then we'll say, okay, we'll perform a while loop to determine which values are less than the current value at I. Now this is I here. This is the I I'm talking about. Plus 7. So for example, this 4 plus 1 or sorry, is 4 plus 1, is that less than 7? And the answer is yes, so you could include it. 6 plus 1, is that less than 7? Yes, you can include it. Sorry, make sure, yeah, the current value. So is 7, this is the current value, is 7 less than 1, which is where the I is at, 1 plus 7, which is 8? Yes, it is. So you could include all of these. And then, but you couldn't include 8 because the current value would be 8. Is 8 less than 1 plus 7? No, it's not. 8, it equals 8, but it's not less than 8. So once we know that, then we could say, okay, week equals cost of the week, whatever that is, I don't know, plus f of whatever this index is, I don't know, I'm going to say, we're going to call it W for the new week, the new index. So again, we'll start with W plus 1 and then check farther down. Now I know, but because we're not for certain how far we can go down. What if we have these? What if this was our input? So even if we buy a week pass, we can't jump to the next. We can't include too many. If we bought a week pass here, we could only include this one day. So it would probably be better just to buy the one day instead of the week pass, because the next day that we travel is too far away. So that's something to keep in mind. And then lastly, we want to consider buying the month pass. And I know it's 30 days, but it says easier for me to write month pass. So we're gonna again perform another loop, perform a while loop to figure out how far we can move forward. So we would say, okay, how many of these are less than, so if we're at here 1, if we add 30 days to this, we'd be left at 31. That means we could include all of these. So we could, that's one option. However, though, as we saw from example 1, we could have bought a 30-day pass that covered all these, but it cost $15. But remember, we found that the minimum dollar amount was 11 for this example. So that's our job, is to figure out which is the best approach. Okay, and then I think that's it. Oh yeah, I guess I can just write this here. So then the month cost would be equal to the cost of the month plus f of, I'm going to say f of m, where m is the index after where we can, where, for example, something like this, what if it was something like 45? So in this case, if we bought a month pass, we would cover all of these, and then this would be that next value. That's what m would be, where we would start off. Okay, and then we would just return the minimum of day, week, and month. MONTH. One thing we want to consider is our base case. So when do we know when to stop? Well, if this is the index of where we are in the days list, we'd want to make sure that this index is less than or equal to, I guess, the length of days. Okay, so that's about it. The only thing I will add is that in order to prevent redundant or duplicate recursive calls, we'll probably add caching here. Probably add some caching, add caching. Okay, I think that's enough to get started. So let's do it. Okay, so first I'm gonna take the length of the days, so n equals length of days. And then let's set up our recursive function. I can't think of a good name, so I'm just gonna call it f. And remember, I was the index of where we're at in days. I am gonna pretend like I called that. So return f of Now the starting index would be 0. Very good. Don't forget to add our caching right now before we forget. Cache. Okay, good. Now let's start off with our base case. I think we can just do if I equals n, return 0. So there's no cost. If once you reach the end there's no cost. There's nothing else to do. I am a little bit hesitant because I kind of want to do this greater than or equal to, but I think we're okay. I think this will work. Not too big of a deal, but just something that's bothering me. Okay, so let's calculate our day cost, our day. What we could do is just we're gonna return, jump ahead a little bit. Sometimes I like doing that. We're gonna return the minimum of the day, week, and month. Okay, so let's calculate what day is. Day will equal what? The cost for that 1 day pass plus the remainder. So let's move it f of, now if we're at index I, the next index would be I plus 1. Okay, great. So that was easy. For the week, let's figure out how to calculate this week cost. So week, and I know this is 7 days, but I think it's okay. So a week cost, it's stored at cost 0. So I need to change this to costs. Okay. Plus, well, we don't know where to go. So let's figure that out. So at the very least, we can start at this index. At the very least. Okay, at the very least. So let's check that out. So what I'm going to say is, okay, I'm going to pretend my new index is W. But let's see how far W can go. So I know W at the very least can be at I plus 1, the very next index. I can start there. Well, let's see how far we can go down, or how far we can move forward. So I'm going to say while W is less than N, which is the length of days here, and days of W is less than days of I. Now remember, I is where we started, where we're buying the current index. We want to know how far we can go out. So I think I added these, so let's just maybe change it back to what they were. So we should be able to go out 1, 2, 3 more days and then start here. Because remember, if we buy the week pass, that covers all of these tickets or all of these days for travel. So in theory, our index should be here, and so we'll move forward in our while loop to get to this point. So how do we do that? Okay, so then we say days I plus what? Plus 7, the number of the 7 day pass. So we're going to keep moving forward. So how do we move forward? We just say, okay, W plus equals 1. Okay. And that's it. Once we know how far W can move forward, we just put it here. And we start from there. Okay. And I'm actually going to do the same thing for month. I'm going to just change the 7 to a 30, and then it's exactly the same except for the variable names. Well, let's just change that. Okay, let's change this to month. So here, month. And instead of this W, I'm going to say, okay, D, okay, D, 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 M. So I'm going to use that M for month. Okay, cool. I think that's good enough. And I think we can just run it locally. Hopefully this works. Okay, looks good. Let's run it, submit it. Oh, yes. Yeah, I think so. So I think this was part of the issue here. Oh, that's interesting. Did I add in? Oh, yes, I know. Damn it. I forgot to update this. The month is stored at cost 2. Let's put it back here. I'm just curious if that works. What the hell? Cost 0, cost 1, cost 2. Last thing I have is this. Output is 54. Let's see what it went wrong here. M equals I. Oh, I'm so dumb. I didn't change this to 30. Yeah, I'm so dumb. Sorry. Okay, let's submit it. Okay, that looks pretty good. I do still want to check this if this can be equals. I'm pretty sure it can. I'm gonna say it is. I think it can be equals. Okay. So because the times are so small, like even a bad time, but I'm not really bad at all. I'm just saying, like, I'm kind of exaggerating. Like 20 milliseconds is rather fast. So like the times are so small that it's hard to show like any variance or difference in optimization. In any case, I think this is for me this is the more intuitive way. Just every time you enter the function, you have three options to consider, and for each of these, you just want to figure out how far you can move forward. For the day, it was easy. It was just you move forward one. For the week, you just kind of have to figure out how many days are consumed or included with this value here, the one coming in, and the same thing for month. How many days or values are included, with this one with 30 days extra. And so that was it. So if you found this video helpful or beneficial or instructional in any way, please consider liking and subscribing. Other than that, be safe and take care of yourself.